Hi, today is the 30th of August, and our meditation is based on Romans chapter 12, verse 8. And I'm going to read verse 6 as well. We have different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. And then it says in verse 8, if it is to encourage, then give encouragement. God has given to his church the gift of prophecy here in this text, the gift of serving, the service, the gift of teaching, and then here the gift of encouragement. So some will be teachers, so they will have the gift of teaching, and then here it's the gift of encouragement. The Christian life is not easy at all. A certain brother from a country where the church is persecuted said that the Christian life is swimming against the tide, against the current. It's not like going down the river with the currents, but it's actually trying to swim up the stream. It's much, much harder. So God has given us through his grace this gift of encouragement. And some people will be there just to encourage others, to exhort others to go forward. Because it's not easy to be a Christian. And depending where you live, it could be even harder than in some places like here in France, where we have got lots of freedom, though there is persecution that is actually a bit nuancé, as they say in French. It's not completely, hidden. It is there. And then we need people like that. And there is one person in the New Testament that is actually called the Son of Encouragement. And this person, we hear about him in Acts chapter 4, verses 35 to 37, and put at the apostles' feet, and it was distributed to anyone who had need. So he's talking about, Luke is here talking about the great need, the great challenge that the church had, probably the first one, to feed people and to help people who came to Jerusalem, became Christians, became disciples of Christ, and then stayed there. And the apostles had to find money to feed these people, to help them with housing and clothing, food. And then let's listen to what says Luke about a certain person called Joseph. Joseph, a Levite from Cyprus, whom the apostles called Barnabas, which means son of encouragement, sold a field he owned and brought the money and put it at the apostles' feet. So we see this man entering, coming out of nowhere. He was a Levite he wasn't from Palestine, he was from Cyprus. And here he is giving what God had given him to help the poor, to help those people in need. And somehow, we don't know when, and we don't know why, the apostles called him Barnabas. We are going to understand later on as we read in this wonderful letter of Luke, this book of Luke, and we understand why they called him that. But we don't know now why he was called the son of encouragement. The only thing we know is that he brought money to help as well. But we can understand now that this man was always at the background, hidden somewhere, helping people by encouraging them, exhorting them, helping them to develop the gifts that God gave them. And that's what is wonderful about people who have got this gift. Because sometimes you're not going to see them preaching. You're not going to see them in the front performing, but they will be at the back, helping, encouraging. And here he's helping in a very practical way. He's giving what God gave him to help people. And then we find him in Acts chapter 9, verses 26 to 27. When he came to Jerusalem, Paul, he tried to join the disciples, but they were all afraid of him, not believing that he really was a disciple. So this Paul of Tarsus, he was a terrible man. He was a persecutor of the church, a terrorist. He killed people and sent people to prison. And then suddenly he had a conversion, we were told, and he comes to Jerusalem. But the disciples are afraid of him. Even the apostles, the leaders of the church in Jerusalem, in Palestine, they were afraid of him because they knew who he was. And then out of the background, out of nowhere again, comes this man called Barnabas, Joseph. What does he do? But Barnabas took Paul and brought him to the apostles. He told them how Saul on his journey had seen the Lord, and that the Lord has spoken to him, and how in Damascus he had preached fearlessly in the name of Jesus. So this Barnabas, who is going to be called Jupiter by some pagans when he's traveling with Paul, the leader of the gods for these pagan people, this man who is always behind the tree, behind the scenes, he's never there in the front, he's never the one who appears first, he's a key person. He's going to use the gift that God gave him to encourage this man called Paul, who is going to become an important missionary, an important apostle, who is going to write most of the letters in the New Testament. But then he was just a man who had become a disciple of Christ, but people were afraid of him. So we need people like Barnabas to encourage. Unfortunately, we'll find lots of people in our church today, and even then, who will be there to do exactly the opposite, to discourage people. But we need people like Barnabas with a gift of exhortation, of encouragement, to be there at the right moment to encourage people to go forward. We might never hear about these people, but God is listening to what people like that are saying. And in eternity, we are going to see the results of such a gift. Be a person that encourages others to follow Jesus, to go forward. God bless you.